The night after the Draxon retreat, the village was alive with celebration. Fires glowed under the twin suns' fading light. Villagers sang softly, their voices blending with the hum of the glowing grass and the faint rustle of trees. Lyra danced around Evan, waving her hands like a conductor leading a grand orchestra. "You saved us," she exclaimed repeatedly. "You're a hero. A strong, useful, ugly hero." Evan groaned and rubbed his eyes. "Must you keep reminding me of my looks?" Lyra laughed, clapping her hands.
"Ugly or not, you are ours now."
"We trust you." Sina, standing a little behind Lyra, watched Evan quietly. Her sightless eyes softened as she listened to the village celebrate. Though she could not see him, she felt his presence, his heartbeat steady and calm. She remembered the way he had moved, his hands steady while building defenses, his voice firm as he shouted warnings to the raiders. In all the years she had lived on this planet, she had never met anyone like him. "Evan," she said gently, stepping closer, I want to thank you. Not for saving the village, everyone will do that, but for protecting me. You could have run or left, but you didn't." Evan looked down at her, still tired from the long night. "I didn't want anyone to get hurt. It was the right thing to do." She smiled softly. "Right things are rare." Evan's lips twitched into a small smile. "I guess. I'm lucky tonight." The celebration continued late into the night, but Evan's mind wandered. Marriage. Lyra had joked about it, yes, but the idea still lingered. He had never planned to marry anyone on another planet, let alone a blind alien girl he had just met. But Sina, she was different. She had an honesty about her that made him want to stay. Her voice, gentle and calm, made him feel safe in a world that had been so strange and dangerous just hours ago. Morning came with a soft purple glow. Birds with silver feathers and humming wings filled the sky. Evan awoke to find Sina sitting outside the hut, listening to the wind and tracing the patterns of the glowing grass with her fingers. "You're up early," he said quietly. She turned toward his voice. "I could not sleep. I wanted to know if the village was safe. You did not hear any more raiders last night," he said, smiling. "I made sure they will not return so soon." She tilted her head. "Even if they come back?" Evan's smile faded a little. "I will fight them again. If I have to." Sina's hand brushed lightly against his arm. "I am glad you are here." The words struck him. Not a joke, not a comment about his usefulness, but genuine. She trusted him, and even without sight she believed in him. A strange warmth filled him, one he had not felt in years. Days passed. Evan helped rebuild parts of the village that had been damaged over time. He showed the villagers how to strengthen homes with materials from the forest. Sina often followed him quietly, using her stick to sense the work he did, learning the sounds and movements of construction. She asked questions, listened carefully, and learned fast. Lyra, of course, did not leave him alone. She asked endless questions about Earth, humans, and ships. She laughed at his jokes even when they were awkward and praised his clever ideas. Every time she teased him about his looks, Evan simply ignored her, focusing instead on Sina's quiet presence nearby. One afternoon, as Evan was helping repair a damaged water channel, he heard a sound he had not expected. A low hum, mechanical and heavy, rising from the forest. He froze. The Draxon, already? He quickly signaled for the villagers to hide, whispering instructions in the softest tones. Lyra, as usual, ignored hiding entirely, standing in the open with arms crossed. "They won't hurt me," she said. "I am brave." Sina, however, moved closer to Evan's side. Her hand found his arm, steadying herself. "Listen to me," she whispered. "I can hear their steps. They are moving quietly, but they are many. What can we do?" Evan examined the area quickly. He had learned to think fast, to turn scrap and natural resources into protection. "We'll use the traps again," he said. "But this time, we need a new plan." He led Sina and Lyra into the trees. He pointed to several ropes tied to small metal balls. "When I pull these, they will fall and make noise. We can confuse them. Then we'll guide them into the crystal traps. The sound will scare them and force them to retreat." Sina listened carefully, nodding. "I will help. Tell me what to do." Evan handed her a long rope. "You'll pull this at the right moment. Count the steps. When you hear 10, pull." Her fingers closed around the rope firmly. "I can do that." The Draxon moved closer, their heavy boots barely making a sound on the glowing grass. Evan's heart raced, but he stayed calm. He trusted Sina. "Now," he whispered. Sina counted carefully, her voice a soft murmur only Evan could hear. When she reached 10, she pulled the rope. A shower of metal balls fell from the trees, clanging loudly against stones. The Draxon stumbled back, startled. Evan signaled the villagers to release the crystal jars. Loud echoes filled the air, bouncing off the trees, making the raiders cover their ears. Some tripped over the traps Evan had set earlier. Confusion spread quickly among them. Lyra shouted from the side, waving her arms. Run away." The Draxon, already disoriented, began retreating. Evan stepped forward, holding a sharpened metal staff, showing he was ready if they did not leave. Sina followed closely, listening to every movement. Though she could not see, she sensed the direction of the enemies. She called out, guiding some of the villagers to help, making the defense even more effective. In less than an hour, the Draxon were gone. They had underestimated the intelligence and teamwork of the humans and the Solari. The village erupted in cheers. Children ran to Evan, hugging his legs. Lyra bounced around him, shouting, "You are the strongest, most amazing, and ugly human ever." Evan laughed, exhausted but happy. "Ugly is not the word I want to hear today." Sina walked toward him slowly, her steps deliberate. "You did not need to see to fight wisely," she said softly. "You thought carefully and you protected us all. I am grateful." Evan knelt to her level, feeling her small hand in his. "You don't have to see me to know I care about you." She smiled faintly. "Then I do know." Days passed. Evan continued helping rebuild the village and teaching the Solari to defend themselves better. Sena spent most of her time with him, learning about the sounds of machines, the feel of metal, and the patterns of his hands. She began to smile more openly, laugh more freely, and even talk about dreams she had never shared. One evening, Evan and Sena stood by the pond where they had first met. The twin suns were setting, painting the sky in shades of purple and gold. Lyra was nowhere in sight, probably off planning another marriage surprise for him. Sena placed her hand in his. "Evan, I have been thinking. I cannot see your face, but I know your heart. It is kind, strong, and brave. If marriage is still something you consider, I would accept." Evan felt a rush of emotion. He had never thought he would find love on a strange planet with someone who could not see him, yet saw him more clearly than anyone else ever could. He began, his voice thick. He paused, searching for the right words. "I would be honored to be with you, Sena. Not because you cannot see me, but because I have never met anyone like you." She smiled, a soft, glowing smile he could feel more than see. "Then let us be together," she said. Word of their acceptance spread quickly. The villagers celebrated not just the union of two beings, but the courage, trust, and understanding that had grown between them. Lyra jumped around happily, shouting that her matchmaking had been perfect. Evan laughed, finally allowing himself to relax. For the first time since crashing on this planet, he felt at home. With Sena by his side, he knew they could face anything together. The Draxon would not return for a long time, and if they did, they would be ready. More importantly, Evan had found someone who saw him truly. Not just as an outsider, not just as a stranger, but as someone worth trusting and loving. Sena took his hand and led him toward the village center. The glowing lights reflected in the water of the pond. The wind carried soft laughter and music. Evan looked around and realized that despite the strange language, the glowing trees, and the unusual customs, this place, these people, had become his world. He looked down at Sena. "I am ready," he said softly. "Ready to be your family, ready to face whatever comes next." Sena squeezed his hand gently. "And I am ready to trust you, always." Together they walked into the village hand in hand. Behind them, the glowing grass swayed in the gentle wind. The twin suns disappeared below the horizon, and the Solari cheered quietly. A human and a blind alien girl had found a bond stronger than sight or fear. A bond that promised courage, love, and hope for the future. Evan smiled, feeling a strange lightness in his chest. "Ugly or not," he whispered, "I think I have never been happier in my life." Sena laughed softly, a sound more beautiful than any sight. "And I have never felt safer." The night settled gently around them. Stars appeared in the sky, reflecting softly in the pond. Their journey together was just beginning, and already the world seemed brighter than ever. The next morning, sunlight filtered through the dense leaves of the forest. Dew sparkled on moss and vines, and birds sang in a language that only the girl understood. She awoke slowly, blinking her silver eyes, and looked around. For the first time, she noticed the human beside her. He was still sleeping, his face relaxed and peaceful. She tilted her head, curious, a faint warmth spreading in her chest. She had never seen anyone like him before. Humans were strange, noisy, and often dangerous, but this one, he was different. He had protected her. He had not run away, even when the machines had attacked. The memory of that moment made her chest glow softly, as if her energy itself remembered his courage. Ethan stirred and yawned. "Morning," he said gently. "Sleep well?" The girl stayed silent. She did not know words. She had never needed them. Instead, she tilted her head, trying to understand him. Ethan smiled, unbothered by her silence. "Don't worry," he said. "We'll figure things out today. I think we're not as safe here as we'd like." The girl's eyes widened slightly. She had felt it too, something in the forest was shifting. Shadows flickered unnaturally between the trees. The air felt heavier, charged with energy. She did not know what it meant, but instinct told her danger was coming. Ethan packed their few supplies into his bag. He noticed her watching him closely. "You're smart," he said with a smile. "You always know what's about to happen, huh?" She blinked slowly and stepped closer, letting him see her glowing markings. The light from her skin seemed to react to his presence, pulsing gently as if in rhythm with his heartbeat. Ethan stopped for a moment, staring at her in wonder. "You're incredible," he said softly. "I don't know what you are, but I'm glad I found you." Before she could respond, though she did not have words, there was a loud crack from the forest behind them. Leaves rustled violently and shadows moved. Ethan's eyes sharpened. "We have company," he whispered. The girl stiffened. She had sensed soldiers before, long ago, before she had known humans, before she had survived alone. The feeling returned, stronger now. These humans were different from the strange robotic drones they had fought yesterday. They were real, armed and searching for her. Ethan motioned for her to stay behind him. "Don't worry. I've got you." The girl nodded, or at least she tried. It was the closest thing to acknowledgement she could offer. She followed silently, staying low to the ground as Ethan led the way through a hidden path in the forest. Soon, they reached a clearing. A group of soldiers appeared at the edge, scanning the area. Their weapons gleamed under the morning sun. Ethan froze, calculating. The girl crouched beside him, her body glowing faintly as if ready to react. The leader of the soldiers stepped forward, shouting in a harsh voice. "We know you're here. Surrender the creature, and no harm will come to the human." Ethan shook his head. "I'm not leaving her behind," he said firmly. "You'll have to go through me." The soldiers laughed. "One human? You'll be crushed." The girl felt the anger rise in her chest. She had never spoken, never yelled, never faced humans like this, but now, something inside her surged. Her markings began to glow brighter. Blue energy crackled around her arms. The soldiers hesitated, sensing something they could not understand. Ethan noticed it. "Stay calm," he whispered. "Don't let it scare you. Just focus." She looked at him, confusion in her eyes.
He nodded slightly.
She understood. Focus. Protect. One soldier raised his weapon and fired. The energy from her arms erupted. The ground shook. Roots and vines shot up from the soil, wrapping around the soldiers' feet and arms. They tried to pull free, but the vines held fast. Some weapons clattered to the ground. Others bent and twisted as if the forest itself was alive, answering her call. The soldiers screamed and struggled. Ethan stepped forward, raising his hands. "Stop! They won't hurt you if you stop attacking." The girl looked at him, blinking rapidly. The energy faded slightly, but the forest remained tense. The soldiers were on their knees, frozen in awe and fear. They had never seen anything like this. One muttered to another, "It's the lost princess. The royal sigils." Ethan turned to the girl. "Do you understand? They're not all your enemies. Some of them, they'll follow you, but you must be careful." She tilted her head, trying to mimic his words. Slowly, she whispered, "Follow me." Ethan's eyes widened. It was the first word she had ever spoken to him. He smiled, more relieved than he had ever been in his life. "Yes," he said gently. "Follow me. I'll help you." The soldiers looked at her in shock. This girl, the one they had come to capture, spoke with the voice of a human. One of the elders stepped forward cautiously. "Princess, is it truly you?" The girl's eyes widened. She had heard humans speak before, but the weight of the word princess felt strange and heavy. She did not fully understand it, yet something inside recognized the truth. She was not just a lost girl. She was royalty. Her bloodline, her sigils, everything inside her confirmed it. Ethan remained beside her. He didn't need titles or crowns. He only needed to protect her. But now, with her identity revealed, the stakes had changed. She would no longer be able to hide. They would come for her relentlessly. One of the soldiers stepped forward, kneeling. "Princess, your throne is waiting. But the enemies who betrayed you long ago, they are still alive. They will try to kill you again." The girl's hands glowed faintly and her eyes reflected the sunlight. She had survived 15 years alone in the wilderness, and now she understood something. She was stronger than any fear. She was the rightful heir, and she would not be defeated. Ethan watched her closely. "Are you ready?" he asked quietly. She nodded. The word yes did not leave her lips, but her posture, her glowing markings, her determination all spoke louder than words. Together, they moved through the forest, the soldiers following at a cautious distance. Ethan taught her to walk among humans, to keep her energy under control, to respond when spoken to. She learned quickly, faster than anyone had expected. Her instincts merged with his guidance, and she became a force both gentle and powerful. As the day passed, they reached the outskirts of an ancient city. Towers of silver and crystal glimmered under the sun. This was the kingdom from which she had been stolen. She stopped at the city gates, unsure. She had survived without anyone for 15 years, and now she would face the people who had betrayed her as a baby. Ethan squeezed her hand gently. "Whatever happens next," he said softly, "I'll be right here." The girl took a deep breath, feeling her energy pulse in rhythm with her heartbeat. For the first time, she felt like she belonged somewhere, not in the forest, not alone, but here, where she was meant to be. Soldiers and citizens alike fell silent as they saw her step into the city. She glowed faintly in the sunlight, a living reminder of the betrayal that had tried to end her life. Yet she was alive, stronger than ever, unafraid. She looked at Ethan. He smiled back. His presence steadied her. Together they moved forward, ready to reclaim what had been taken from her. She lifted her chin and spoke clearly, words ringing out across the courtyard. "I choose him to stand beside me." Murmurs spread like wildfire. Some citizens bowed, others stared in disbelief. The people who had doubted her, the ones who had helped betray her family, they were all watching now. Ethan stepped forward, still beside her. "I am honored," he said quietly, almost to himself. "I will protect you no matter what." The girl's markings glowed brighter than ever. She was no longer the lost child of the forest. She was the princess of her people, and she had a human by her side who had shown her what kindness, courage, and loyalty truly meant. For the first time in 15 years, she felt hope, and with that hope, she knew that no betrayal, no enemy, and no danger could ever take her life again. Together, they faced the city, ready to reclaim her throne and her destiny. And for the first time, she realized that perhaps, just perhaps, the world was bigger than the forest, bigger than fear, and with the human beside her, there was nothing she could not overcome. The lost princess had returned, and the human who had saved her 15 years ago would stand with her, forever.